Good afternoon, all. Um, I am Vidhupriya from CSC department. Today, Uh, I'm going to handle this session. Is it audible? Yes. Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, so today we are going to see about the same function concepts. Already you have seen about the function concept, and you have done the lab programs also. You are going to see the same thing, but with some additional features. Using the previous concepts, you can write a simple programs, but still in Python we have some more additional features which will make our part very easy. So we can write a very complex program in a very easy way. So there are some additional features in Python function concepts. So first we'll just go through what are the just revisit the function concepts, and then we can go to the advanced concepts. Okay, so function is mainly to it's just a block of code that performs a particular task. That is, we can't write our entire program in a single program. So if it is a small programming, then no problem. We can write everything within a single block. But if it is a very complex program, then it is must we have to split our program into different functions. So there are many advantages for this, like debugging will be very easy and reusability will be there. So we have in one project or one program, we have one function, and the same function if we want to use in some other program or project, we can just call the function. We no need to again implement the same functions. Similarly, debugging 100 lines of code is very difficult. Suppose if we are just splitting that 100 lines of code into some 20 lines of some 10 functions, each contain some 10 lines, then it will be easy for us to debugging also. So these are the some main advantages of functions. So we will define the functions, and the functions will not get executed unless otherwise we are calling the functions. So the functions will get executed only when it is invoked. So to this function, we can give some inputs, and the function will do some processing on that input, and it will return back some data as a result. Okay, so function is just going to do some particular task. For doing that particular task, we can give some input. So that is called arguments. That is, input to a function is called arguments. And after performing that task, the function will generate one output or a result that can be returned by the functions. So in Python, we are just declaring the function using the keyword def. So this is the function syntax. So first, to define a function, first we have to include the keyword def, and then any function name. So it must be a reasonable function name. For example, here this function is just calculating the sum, so they have named the function as calculate sum. And then data1 and data2 are called function parameters. That is the input to the function. So the function is going to work only on these two inputs. Okay. And then presentation. Okay. So this is the function name, and then function parameters, that is input to the function parameters, the data 1 and data 2 are the input, and def is the that function signature or syntax to define the function, and these two statements, that sum equal to data 1 plus data 2 and return sum, these two are called function body, that is the task which is going to be performed by this particular function, and this sum is the output or return value of the function, final output. So this data 1 and data 2 are input to the function, and this sum is the output to the function. And then, so with this function will not get executed. This is just a function definition. So to execute the function, we have to call the function using the function name. And also, while calling the function, we have to pass the input values also. So if there is any input values, then we have to pass the corresponding values here. If there is no input means, then in that case, we can simply open and close the bracket. So this is the function call. And then, so this function is returning some values. That is, it is giving some output to the caller function. So that can be stored in another variable. So this is also optional if the function is not returning anything. So if there is no output for this function, that is, this function is going to print the sum here itself. So suppose here, this inside this function itself is going to print the sum value. Then in that case, this function is not going to return anything. So in that case, we no need to mention this variable which is used to store the result of the function call. We can simply call the function alone. So it's everything based on a programmer only. We have to decide what is our function is going to do. What are all the input to our functions? What are all the output of our function? That has to be decided by us only. Based on the requirement of that particular problem, we have to decide what are all the input to our functions, what are all the output of our functions. And finally, here they are printing the result. So this is the basic things. And as I told, functions and return statements. So here the function is returning one value, but here we have simply called the function. We didn't store the result value in any variable. So this function will perform some task, and after this task, this function will return a variable, will return some values. That value will come back here. But here, to hold that particular value, we don't have any variables. So in that case, what will happen means the return value will be lost. So if the function returning some value, some result value, some 10 means, so we are not storing the 10 value in any variable. So in that case, we will lose the value itself. So if there is any return statement, either we can store the we can get the value in some variable, or we can directly print it. So here they have invoked sum 1 of 4, 5. Okay, so here they have invoked the function sum of 1 and the input to that function is 4 and 5. So they have computed 4 plus 5 will become 9. Here itself they have printed the value and then they are returning the value also 9. But this 9 value will be returned here, but we are not storing it in anywhere. So this value will get lost. So we can, if we want to use that value outside this function means, then in that case, we have to use some variable in the function call. So if there is no return statement, then no need of this variable. Otherwise, you have to include. Then only we can use that return value. So see, here we are returning the value C, and this, after this function call, this function will get executed. So this only will get executed first, function call. After this function call, this function will get executed and then it will return the result value 9. This 9 value will come back here. So this statement will become add equal to 9. Now our result is stored in this variable add. Now we can use that variable. Either we can print it or we can use for some other purpose also. So this return statement is also optional only. So based on our requirement, if a function is going to return something, then return it. Otherwise, no need. Okay. So here, instead of getting the result variable in result in some variable, they are directly printing it. That is also possible. So we can directly call the function within the print statement also. So in that case, what will happen? The result will come here, returned here, and the result value will get directly printed. That's all. So in previous case, we have stored the result value here and then we have printed. Now we are just going to combine these two things, two statements. We are directly printing the return value. So if we are not going to, if our purpose is only to print the result means, then in that case we can directly use this. But we are going to use the result in for some other purpose means, then we have to surely store it in some other variables. So here also, inside this print function itself, we are directly calling the function. So it will print the value 9 here. And similarly, you can call the function from any statements. So within the if statement, usually we will write some conditions. So in Python, the conditions must have should result in some Boolean value, either true or false. So if the function is returning it's going to return some true or false value, then in that case, we can directly call the function within the if that condition also. So usually the syntax is if and condition. Instead of this condition, we can write the function directly call the function from there also. So what will happen? Whatever returned by the function will get replaced in the place of this function call. So if the function is suppose returning some true, then this function call will be replaced by true. So only the requirement is after in the condition should evaluate to some Boolean value. So the function should return either true or false. In that case, we can directly call the function within the condition statement also. Okay, so this is the example. So here we have to find whether the sum is 0 or not 0. So here we can do like this also. So usually what we will do, we will simply write maybe sum equal to sum 1 of. Okay. Usually we will write sum equal to sum 1 of 4, 5. And then instead of this statement, we will write if sum is equal to 0. If sum equal to 0, then in that case, we'll print sum is 0. Otherwise, sum is not 0. Like that, we will print. So here, instead of doing like that, this function is returning the true or false value only. This function is going to return true or false value. So we can directly call the function within this condition itself. So if it is returning other than true or false, then it will show error. Because in Python, we need some Boolean value for the conditions. So instead of this, if you have written like this, instead of true, if you have written 1, and instead of false, if you have written 0, then it will show error because it will get some integer value here. So if the function returns Boolean value, then we can directly call the function inside the condition. Okay. So can you just tell what is the output for the below code? Okay, so what is the output for this below code? Is B 3500. Okay, so B is the answer. So display 1000 comma 3500. So display, so here the value is 1000, and here the value is 3500. So then again it is calling another function called verify. So here again the argument is 1000 and 3500. So here it will go. So 1000 greater than 3500 false. So it will go here. So 1000 equal to 3500 false. So it will come here and it will return 3500. This 3500 will get replaced, will replace this function call. So now your program will look like this. If 3500 equal to 1000. So it's not equal. So again it will go here. And again it will verify. So again it will return 3000. Instead of this, it will get replaced by 3500. So which is not equal. So finally it will go and print the B. Okay. Okay. So in Python we have another feature like a function can return more than one value. So usually in other our languages like C, Java, C++, all the main constraint is a function can return only one value. But in Java, returning more than one value is possible. So simply, so here we have written this function is returning two values, true and 0. Similarly, here it is returning false and A plus B. So here, while calling the function, we have to give two variables, that's all. While the function is returning only one value, here we gave only one variable to store the value. But here now our function is returning two values. So we can simply give x comma y. So this first value, either true or false, will get stored in x, and the second value will get stored in y. That's all. So in this way, we can return more than two values using this comma operator. Okay, so that's all about the basic functional function concepts. Now we'll see some additional features. So functions and positional arguments. Okay, so we know these are the arguments of the functions. We will call these, that is input to the function, as arguments. So what is meant by positional means? We have to maintain that while giving value, we have to maintain the positions also. That is, the order should not be changed. For argument 1, if you are giving value means you have to give the value in the first position only. Argument 1 is in the position first. So you have to give the value for the argument 1 in the first position only. And similarly, the argument 2 is in the second position. So you have to give the argument 2 value in the second position only. So that order should be maintained. We should not give in different order. So that is called positional arguments. And also the count is also matters. So if you have defined your function with the 2 arguments, then while calling the function, you have to give 2 values. If there is no argument, then you no need to give any values. But if there is 2 argument, you have to give 2 values. Otherwise, it will show error like few arguments for the function. Like that, it will show error. So for positional arguments, so normally till now we have used this positional arguments only. So how many arguments we have given in that function? We will give values for all those arguments while calling the functions in the same order. So for example, here we have given for the function, first one is going to get a name and second one is going to get a mark. So here, while calling this function, we have to give 2 arguments. The number of argument is 2, and the first argument should be a name and second argument should be a mark. So here what we have done, we have converted this mark into integer and then we are printing. Suppose instead of this, if I am simply printing, then it's not a problem. If I am simply, we are printing means, then it's not going to be a problem in this case. But here, suppose instead of calling like this, if we are doing like this, then so first we are giving marks and then we are giving the name. So in that case, what will happen? So this name will have 89 and mark 1 will have this name Sorna. So here that name will get converted to integer. So it will try to convert the name to integer, but what will happen? It will show error. So if you are not properly pausing that, if you are not properly maintaining the order of the element, it may result in error. So both the order and count of the argument is matters. So that is called positional arguments. Okay, so this is a normal one only. This is mostly applicable in all other languages also. Now we'll go for the another concept like keyword arguments. Okay. So in keyword arguments, we no need to maintain the order of the arguments. We can simply give in any order, give value in any order. So see, here the function have 2 arguments. One is argument 1 and argument 2. But here, while calling the function, instead of simply giving the values, they have given the argument name also. So that is called keyword arguments. While calling the function, we are just going to give the name also. So here argument 2 equal to value 2 means this value 2 will get assigned to this argument. argument 1 equal to value 1 means this value will get assigned here. So suppose simply if we have written like this, function of value 2 comma value 1 means this will not happen. Value 2 will get assigned to argument 1 and value 1 will get assigned to argument 2. So in that order only it will happen. But using this keyword arguments, this order we no need to maintain. There is some flexibility. But one thing, this keyword should match. In the argument 1, this keywords should match with that parameter name. You should not give any different names. We have to give the same names. So here, so in last case, if we are giving like this, it will show error. But in this case, we are giving along with that keyword also, mark 1. So this 89 will get assigned to this mark 1 and this name will get assigned to this name. So this is called keyword arguments. And the next one, default arguments. So default arguments means in some arguments, mostly if user is not going to pass value for the argument, then we want to take some default value. If the user is want to give some different value, then he can give. Okay, so in this case, what will happen means, see, actually there are two arguments in this function. So these are some additional features only. Without this also we can write, but to do some complex programs, we can make use of these features in Python. That's all. So additionally, here in the second argument, we have one more thing called equal to default value. So if the value is given, that new value will be taken. Otherwise, this default value will be taken. For example, see, while calling this function, we have given only one value. So what will happen? This one value will pass to this function and the second value we didn't give, but that value is a default value. If it is not default value, then it will show error. So suppose in this case, so if it is not a default value, suppose if we have given like this, so this is not a default value. So in that case, it will show error. Too few arguments for this function. Like that it will show. But here, this is a default argument. That is default, by default, we are giving some value to the argument. If the user is going to give new value, then that new value will be taken. If the user is not going to give any value, then the default value will be taken. So that is called default arguments. So see, here we have name and mark 1 equal to 0. So this is the default argument. So by default, mark 1 will be 0. So here, while I'm calling, we are just passing the name and then we are passing the marks. So in that case, while we are executing this, we will get this name Swarna and the mark as 89 only. But in the second case, we are passing only one argument. So in that case, what will happen means the name will be this Swarna and the mark will be 0. So that is the use of default arguments. Suppose this name is also some default argument, like name equal to some x. So in that case, I can call the function without any arguments also. So that is, for example, this is also some default argument like equal to, we are giving some values like x. So in that case, if suppose the user is calling the function with just an open and close bracket, no argument means, that will also work. What it will do means it will just print the name as x and it will print the mark as 0. So default arguments, if there is The default value will be there. If user wants, he can give the new value. Otherwise, he can just leave the argument. The default value will be considered. Okay. And one more thing, one main important thing you have to note while using this default argument is default argument should be last in the order. We have to give the default arguments as the last argument only. Suppose if you are giving like this, so suppose if you are giving like this function, mark 1 equal to 0 and a name. So in that case, while calling the function, what we will do, we will simply, I want to give only name. So I am just giving one name. So, but the functions don't know whether we are passing the value to this default value or we are passing the value for that next argument, whether it's an error or it don't know. Okay, so usually if we are going to, so this one, if you are doing like this means it will automatically show error. So the default argument should come in the last only. So this point is very important. If you have some default arguments in your functions, then you have to maintain the default argument at the end only. Is it clear till now? Any doubts? Okay. Okay. So next one is variable or arbitrary arguments. That is, in some cases, we don't know how many values we are going to pass to the functions. If we exactly know this many values means, then we can go for positional argument or keyword argument. In some cases, the same function, for the same function, I may pass some 2 arguments. For the same function, I may pass some 3 arguments. Okay, so that number of arguments may vary, variable number of arguments. So in that case, how we can handle that? Okay, so for that we have to use, to handle such things, we have to use, before that argument, we have to use one more operator, star. So this argument will accept some set of values. Any number of values it will accept. So that's why it's called variable or arbitrary arguments. This should be also come last in the order only. So how this will work means, actually all the values will be copied into a tuple. So for example, so suppose if you are going to write one program to find the sum of some n numbers. So user may give some set of values, maybe input is some values, like some set of values like this, and our output should be just the sum of numbers. So each time the user may give some different set of values. Okay. So each time the user may give some different set of values. So maybe I want to call the function like find sum. So maybe for the first time I may call like this 30, 40. Second time the same function I want to call something like this. So number of arguments. Each time I may give some different set of arguments. Then how we are going to write the functions. So we are just defining the function find sum, and then here we can give star or num, some argument name star. Just with that argument we have to give star. So this num will act as a tuple. So yeah, I have studied that collection concept like list, set, tuple and dictionary. So here, while we are passing some set of values in Python, actually it will consider that set of value as a tuple. So for example, if you are printing it, we can also print the type. So run this program. So here, so for the first, then print num. This num is just a tuple, means it will be inside that bracket only, right? And while I am printing the type of that particular variable, it is showing that the variable is tuple. So usually this set of values will be passed as a tuple in Python. So suppose instead of, if I am if I didn't give this star, means what will happen? So it's showing error. Find sum takes one positional argument but 4 given. So in my first statement itself it will stop. So here I have given some 4 arguments, but here we have only one positional arguments. So this will accept only one value. So to make it to accept more than one value, we can add star. So in that case, it will accept these any set of values. So we can find the sum. How we can find? We can for collections, we can just iterate through each and every value in collections using for. So for x in num, so we can have one variable to store the sum, and sum so equal to sum plus x, each value, and then finally either we can print it here or we can return the value. So sum is 100, 614. So same thing we can do like this also. Instead of printf statement, I want to return the value. Return sum. So in that case, if while the function is returning something, we have to get it in some variable. While calling the function, we have to get it. So if I run this function, run this program, means what will happen? It will not give any output. See, simply it is showing only that arrow marks. It will not give any output, because here I am returning, but here I am just ignoring the value. I am not storing it anywhere. So either I can store it somewhere. So like this, result equal to, and then I can print the result. So like this I can do, or I can directly get the value and print it. So print, within the print itself I can call the function. So here also within the print itself I can call the functions. So what will happen? So it will directly print the sum 100 and 614. So this is the use of variable or arbitrary arguments. So same thing here also they have given. So see, if we have now in our case there is only one variable argument, so not a problem. So if I am going to add any positional argument, normal arguments means, then in that case that arguments has to be added in the front only, and always this arbitrary argument should come at the end. That is important. So otherwise it will automatically show error. while saving itself it will show error. So for example, if I am just including one more variable called count and I'm running it, means then it will show so missing one required keyword only argument, like that it will show. Then the next one is variable keyword arguments. So here we have only given variable number of arguments, that is something, only the values we have given 78, 90, 67, like that we have given values. While giving values itself, we can give the variable name also, keywords also. So that is called variable keyword arguments. That is, for that we have to use double star. That is, while calling the function, I will not only pass the value, I will also pass the name of that value or argument or keyword. So here what will happen means, this will get copied as a dictionary. So in previous case, all these values get copied, all these, only this three values. These values get copied to this argument 3 as a tuple. Here, so dictionary means we will have both key and value. Here also the same thing. So here also we have key, value, key, value. So this will get copied as a dictionary to this argument. So see here, while passing, here this is the name, and here with in the previous case we simply pass the values alone, like 90, 80, 100. But here I have passed the name also or keyword also. So max equal to 90, English equal to 80, Tamil equal to 100. So these all the values will get copied to this subject marks. And this subject marks will act as a dictionary. So how we can access the dictionary? We can access using the variable and key also. We can simply access it like that. So here maybe star sum. So here maybe x equal to y equal to z equal to and a equal to. So here we have to change the thing. Suppose I want to print the value 40 means, then in that case we can simply call print num of a. So this num is our dictionary name, and this values will act as key, and these values will act as value. And this will get the output as 40. So if you just print the type of num. So to check just what is the type of that, it is dictionary. Okay. So likewise we can pass many values. Here also before that we can add any variable name. So this is the first argument. So this is the first argument, and the remaining all the arguments will go here. This is about variable keyword argument. You can give variable number of arguments along with the keyword. And one more thing. So maybe in other languages, C and C++ and all, you might have heard one concept like call by value, call by reference, call by address, something like that. Okay. So in Python, how it will work means, actually call by value means, so if you are passing some value inside the function and the function is doing some updation to that value, that updated value will not reflect outside. That is, for example, we have some function. Here I am just going to pass one name. I am just going to change the name. Name equal to Arun. And then here I am going to print the name. So before that also, before changing the name also, I'll print it. So now I'm just going to call the function using a name Vinit. Okay. So actually, or we can do something like this. Name equal to Vinit and function name. So and then here we'll print the name. So see here. So here, first the name is Vinit. I am passing the name to the function. And inside the function, I am printing the name. So the name is Vinit only. First output is Vinit. And after that, I am changing the name to Arun. And again, I am printing inside the function itself. It is Arun. But here, after this function, again I am trying to print the name. It is still Vinit only. So inside the function only, this name changed. Outside the function, it remains same. So whatever happened inside the function is not reflected outside. This value is still Vinit. So this concept is called call by value. So only the value is passed. This variable is not get affected. Even though it's the same variable, actually only the value Vinit is passed here and that value alone changed to Arun, and it is happened only inside the function. So this is called call by value. So in Python we have some two things like immutable objects and mutable objects. So immutable means we cannot change it. So these our inbuilt data types like integer, float, bool, string, and also the tuple is also immutable. So these are immutable. And we have some mutable objects also, that is we can change it: list, set, dictionary. So when you are passing these datas, then call by value will happen. That is the changes done. Now I have actually passed string, right, Vinit. So it is a string. So that what happened? That change inside the function was not reflected outside the function. But suppose if I have passed any list within the function means, then in that case, the changes inside the function will reflect outside also. So for example, so here instead of string, I'm going to pass a list, maybe 10, 20, 30. And here, okay, name. So here I'm just going to append name dot append another value like 40. So here for our outside function, we'll print it. And here inside function, we'll print it. Okay. So see, both inside and outside function. Initially, our list was like this. While passing it was 10, 20, 30. So I am printing it here. And then after that, I am appending 40. So inside the function, the list got updated. And after coming out of the function also, I am printing the same list. But here, the list got updated. So whatever changes happened inside the function is reflected here also. So this concept is called call by object reference. So in Python, they are calling this call by object reference. So usually other thing call by reference, call by address, something like that they will call. Okay, so these are the two things. So we have to be careful when we are using these immutable objects in our functions means then the change will not happen in the calling function. But when you are using some mutable objects as arguments for your function, then the changes inside the function will also reflect outside the function. So in that case, you no need to return also. Automatically everything will get updated. Okay. Is it clear about this one? Okay. One more. Okay. So variable and its scope. So usually scope means, so global variables means are created when the program execution starts. Rather throughout the program that variable will exist. So for example, so here in this counter equal to 0 is a so here this counter equal to 0 is a global variable. So this counter you can use throughout the program. So local variables means the ones you are creating inside particular function. So that is called local variables. So here if you are simply using this counter means then this will be considered as a local variable. So if you want to use this global counter means then here you have to mention something like this. So scope means actually what's the life in which block it is applicable. For example, this counter variable is applicable throughout this program. This n is also a local variable. This n, if you are trying to access here, then it will show error. There is no variable like n. Because this n scope is only within this function. Similarly, this counter scope is only within this function 1. But this counter is a global variable. Its scope is throughout the program. So that is called variable and its scope. So that's why we are returning the result. So otherwise, if we are computing and if we are coming and printing it here, we can print it, right? But this sum is only, its scope is only within this function. That's why we are returning the value alone. Okay, so that's all about this. We'll just solve only one problem. Maybe I will do it in 5 minutes and then we'll do. Then if you have any doubts, we can ask. Okay, so it's just a simple program only. just to use the concept, all this variable arguments, positional argument, just to use those concepts in this. Okay, so here they have given one price list, and so first thing, each customer can buy different varieties of fruits, each of 1 kg. Okay. So maybe we can maintain one. Okay. So here they are given some, they are maintaining some price list. So maybe to maintain the price list, we can use some dictionary, because we have the fruit name and also the price. So we can use some dictionary to storing the price list. And then here they have given different criteria for you, different criteria to use the arguments. So here each customer can buy different variety of fruits, each of 1 kg. So only thing is the customer can buy, so one customer may get only apple, another customer can buy grapes and papaya, something like that. So they can, the number of fruits each customer buy may get differ. So how we are going to do that? So we can, so maybe our price list, so we can maintain it in, I will write PL equal to dictionary, means within that curly brace, and then we can give the name apple 150, some price, and then again key value, and then the value, and similarly we are giving another value. Okay, that's all. Okay, so this is our price list, and just now maybe find total price. So first customer, we are just passing the price list, and first customer is going to buy apple only. Second customer is going to buy apple and banana. So in that case, so first one is the normal positional argument. Second one is the variable arguments. So we can, while defining function, so define find total price. So we can just PL, and then to get the arguments, that varying number of arguments, we have to give star. So star may be fruits. So it's going to have the different types of fruits, varieties of fruits. Then what we have to do to find the price, we have to take each and every fruit and we have to find the price. So it's just a tuple. So to iterate through the tuple for each fruit in fruits, so it will take one fruit from the fruits. So in this case it is only apple, the next case it is apple and banana, and maybe we can have one variable to store the total price. So total equal plus equal to, so this fruit will contain apple. Now to find the price of apple, we can directly use the dictionary. PL, within that we can pass the fruit name. So because the key value is fruit name in this dictionary. And finally, we can print it. Total. We run this. We'll get the total is 150 and 200. So this is the variable number of arguments. And similarly, in the second case, the customer can buy, in the previous case only 1 kg they are buying. The second case, they may specify some kgs. By default, if they are not specifying, by default, they are going to buy 1 kg. If they are specifying, then they will bought that particular kg. So how we are going to incorporate that in our programming? Here we can add one more called default argument. So default arguments usually we have to write at the end. So default argument. So by default, that customer is going to get only 1 kg. So sometimes if they are not specifying, they are going to buy 1 kg. If they are specifying, then in that case, they are going to buy that particular kg. So here, based on that kg, we can multiply the price of the fruit. So we run it. Okay, so while specifying like this, because usually we have to write this variable number of arguments at the end. But after that also we are giving one keyword default argument. So we have to give it as keyword argument only. That only will work. Otherwise, we will consider this two also as a one of the fruit. So we have to specify like this. Okay. So here apple alone, so it will take it as a kg1. So apple's price is 150, but here it taking the quantity as 2 kg. So apple price is 300 plus banana price is 100. So 300 plus 100, we are getting 400. So this is the default value. So if you are not specifying here, we didn't specify, it will automatically take the 1. If you are specifying the quantity equal to 2, then it is ignoring this default value and it will take the quantity as 2. And similarly, the third case is for that variable keyword arguments. So here, user is going to buy different quantity of in each fruits. So for example, here apple 2 kg, mango 3 kg, like that, they are going to specify. So we have to use double star for that. So that is user is going to specify something like this. Apple equal to 2 kg. Banana equal to 1 kg. So like that they are going to specify it. So to get these arguments, we have to give double star. So this fruits will act as a dictionary. So we cannot get it like this. What we can do, fruit comma quantity, because fruit is the key and this one is the quantity. So fruit comma quantity in fruits dot items. Dictionary dot items will give both the key and values. So we can do like this. And we can get. Okay, so that's all. So here we have passed variable keyword arguments. So here double star fruits. I think that's all about today's session. Any doubts in this? If you have any doubts, you can ask.